Happy today again. This is William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Solopreneur Conversations. And so every Tuesday at 1 p.m., I have a conversation with a solopreneur or a subject matter expert that supports solopreneurs and that will have a message to help solopreneurs. And to go from there, I invite you to share, ask questions, send comments, all those things that will do to let me know that there is value within these conversations. So the conversation that we're going to have today is minding your business. What does that mean? So as I do, I'm going to invite my friend in, and so we can have a conversation. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bill.
Yeah, it's like I'm still in the morning. I'm still in the this is the afternoon. So this is the moment where I invite you to introduce yourself however it feels comfortable to you.
Great. Thank you for having me. My name is Carrie Zarotney, and I am the owner of Nurtured Healing. And essentially, I'm a certified human potential coach that focuses on habit change, and I utilize meditation as one of those wonderful habits, and mindfulness is one of those wonderful habits to help people, solopreneurs, anyone move forward in their life.
Right. Well, great. I think it was kind of funny when I was putting together this show. And it's like minding your business. I was like, okay, I want to have a conversation about mindfulness, and everything, and I try to be cute and kind of clever too, right? But it is definitely an area, I don't want to say of concern, but of challenge to me to really stay mindful with the tasks, my health, how I'm showing up. And so how does minding your business show up for you?
I really think it starts with awareness, because certainly as a solopreneur myself, the person, am not separate. I don't put myself aside when I go into a work presentation or coaching session or whatever it is that I'm taking on. So it really starts with awareness and understanding what my own mental state and physical state, where I'm at, how am I arriving in that moment? And I know we had a brief conversation in the green room before about kind of providing that buffer in between meetings, the buffer even before I go pick up my children from school, building in buffers in your day to take that inventory and notice where you're at. And then there's some other things we can do if we notice we're kind of off or in a tough space. But starting with that awareness is really key for me.
Right. No, I totally get it. And I talk about within my coaching, because most of my coaching is about awareness, it's awareness of self, but it is awareness. Most of the times we don't know how we're showing up or not showing up in our work and relationships because we have no awareness of ourselves. Right. And so I think that the thing that I think it's funny for me, it's like haha funny or kind of like a really that how I get so caught up in doing that I'm doing without thinking or being mindful of. And I don't know if that's a conditioning that we have, that we're just we have a busy mind, we have a busy activity, and if we're not busy, if busy is not a part of the equation, then we're not working. Then we're not serious about our business. Then, and so how can we stay in action? I guess this is a question that I have. How can we stay in action and stay aware of the actions that we're taking?
I love that question. Dr. Mark Hyman always says that we're not human doings, we're human beings.
Mm,
And so it's a matter of taking that time and building in that time to just be and to reflect and to recognize our state and where we're at when we're showing up. I totally get that when you've got that to-do list in front of you,
mhm.
that it's way easier to kind of go offline with the awareness piece and just like check, 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 and
Right.
try and crank it out. What I think ends up happening then is we go offline in terms of kind of our connectedness and really kind of being driven by our why for why
Got it.
we're in business,
Mhm.
and more task oriented, which is understandable. We do need to do things in order to move ourselves forward. However, when we get so caught up in that, and sometimes it's not even our agenda, we're looking at
Hmm.
other people and saying, oh, that coach is doing that, I better do that too.
Right.
Now I'm going to swipe all this stuff off, I'm going to do this. It's almost like we're in a push
Right.
mentality instead of working with that pull of why we got into this in the first place.
Right. I think it brings me to I guess the next question, or the next area of challenge for me, is determining what is your business, right? What needs to have your focus? What needs to have your intentions? And I think sometimes for me, I am not mindful because I am in somebody else's pond, right? I'm doing, like you said, I'm looking at what other coaches are doing. I'm looking what other entrepreneurs or solopreneurs are doing and going like, oh, geez, I guess I'm not doing that. I need to do that, right? And then you kind of, you're all over the place. And what's in what's your business, to stay in that is sometimes it is, you know, your well-being, right? Your rest, your family, and it's not just what's happening in your business or in your work. But for me, it gets so dicey sometimes when I feel like, I didn't do enough in the hours I was working in my business. I didn't do enough. So now my business of being there for my family suffers, right?
Yeah.
But and so I can't be mindful. They know that now I'm, I'm supposed to, or I'm, work should be done by now, and it's not. And even if my body shows up there, I might not show up there,
Sure.
type of thing. And so really determining what is, what business you're currently in. I love when, um, I think it was Tony Robbins was the first time that I heard that. It's like, what business are you really in? It's like, oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that, and it's like there is a business beyond that. And I think in order for us to get um, mindful or stay mindful, we have to really understand, like you said, our why, or what business we're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I find for me, trying to block out that outside noise of what I should be doing and
Hmm.
really check in with myself and my gut, and doing if you're open to it, we can do a quick practice that I like to do oftentimes, that kind of helps me reconnect with that why, or reconnect with that pull of what is tugging at my heartstrings. Why did I start to get into this in the first place? It's called a head, heart, gut check.
Okay.
So oftentimes I'll do this when I've got decisions to make, like, do I want to add this thing to my business? Do I want to, maybe change a direction or add some sort of offering, or, what's my next step kind of thing?
Right.
Um, and so if you'd like, we can play
Yes,
for a moment.
I am open. I am
Awesome.
open. All right. It's
Okay. So you start off and you can close your eyes or keep them open if you'd like,
okay.
whatever you'd like. You just start with a palm on your forehead and one on your heart.
Either hand or
Either hand, doesn't
okay.
matter what.
Okay.
And you just bring whatever it is that's kind of the question mark to mind.
Okay.
What's that that thing that's kind of gnawing at you, that, and maybe it could be something in your business that you're ready or thinking about letting go of, but it's bringing in a revenue stream, or you've been successful with it in the past. So you're just feeling like, why would I do this? Like it might be a mistake or whatnot. But I
Mm.
like to first kind of drop that in, that question mark, whatever you're concerned about or thinking about, and drop it in and think about it from a head perspective.
Mm.
And your brain might just get going bonkers in terms of like thinking about all the reasons and this and that. And it's, all of that type of stuff. And I just let it go for a minute. If my brain wants to get, crazy, I just let it go. And just breathing with whatever comes up, even if it's a thought train that's difficult.
Mm.
And usually after about, a minute here or so, I drop that question mark down to my heart and think about it under my heart hand. What's my heart saying about it? And again, just breathing with it. Sometimes we're starting to get a bit more clarity here in terms of moving forward, in terms of next steps. If it's something you're looking at pursuing, you can ask yourself, what does my heart say about pursuing this? Or if it's something you're thinking about, taking out of your business, what does my heart say about omitting this? I'm just kind of listening to what arises. And you might find yourself going back up into your head and just thinking about concentrating under that heart hand. And then after a few breaths here, we take the head hand down to the belly or the gut. Keep the heart where it is. And dropping that question now into the belly, into the gut. And what does your gut say? What does your belly say about this thing? Sometimes we can get a little bit more clear here, almost like a yes or no in terms of how to move forward or respond. And maybe your belly's not necessarily your place of knowing or your gut instinct. Maybe you feel it in a different location. So always feel free to go with what your body desires and what your natural draw is to finding your own answers. Just breathing with whatever arises beneath your belly hand. Asking it that question about how to move forward. And oftentimes I would just sit here until I felt some more clarity about where to go. But in the interest of time, I just invite you to open your eyes and release your hands wherever you're at. So that's just a little exercise I like to do in terms of finding my way forward. Our brains get busy, these problem-solving machines, just trying to work out all the scenarios. And, I liken it to like a computer program, like working out the data points and whatnot. But our hearts lead us in a different direction or provide just a little bit kind of clearing of the clutter. And then our place of knowing, and mine happens to be in my gut, but some people feel more strongly in the heart or in other areas, really can kind of clear out more clutter and give us more clarity in terms of what is our next best step.
Yeah, it was very interesting. Thank you for taking me through that process, and I'm definitely we'll use it again. But wherever my focus was, when we took it through the head and then the heart and then the belly, there was like a list of things why I wasn't doing what I was doing. I have evidence, you don't know this, all that kind of, it was just very clear. This is why you're not doing this, right? And, when I got to my heart, there was more of this. The only word that I can think of is this nurturing that, look,
Mhm.
you know, this, you got this. This is the reassurance. Yes, you're not doing it. However, you got it.
Mm.
And the process of to my gut it was like a quick, and so I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's right or not, but it was like a quick, it's like the question was, well, should I be doing this? I know I'm not doing this, but should I be doing this? And it was like, yeah, do it. Right. It's like, what do we, yeah, it's like, okay. So, but the one thing that I know about myself, I don't know if you are like this, but I look for at least three different options. I don't know. Sometimes it's just to talk me out of things. It's like, some of my prayers, I would think God would say, dude, I said yes like 4 times already. It's like, really? No, no, seriously, really? Right.
Right,
It's
right.
like, and it's just like, I think
Mhm.
that's just how I roll until I change that habit and kind of do that. Um, but, um, but no, it just really, it's a simple way to really, I guess just to check in.
Mhm.
I think for me, there is this busyness, and I mentioned before that I have a beautiful looking calendar. It's color coded. It's color coded, and it's just full. And it's like, hey, yeah, I'm like really, um, proud of myself that I have this full schedule of things to do.
Mhm.
But there is this perfection that needs to happen for it to like work out my way. Right? It's like, no, there's like no hiccups. If anything happens, if that is not on that schedule, it just throws the whole thing out.
Mm.
And it's just like, yeah, I have to be a little more mindful about my scheduling and more deliberate. And it's not just about getting things on the calendar, getting things on the schedule. And for me, that was success.
Sure.
I am busy, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I am stressing myself out. I don't want that award, right? You
Right, right. No,
know? Oh
yeah.
boy.
Oh, I can't tell you. I love me some color coding. I hear that. And the head heart gut check is a good thing to do with that calendar and
Mm,
see, your head might be like, yes, color coded on time, use every available minute.
right,
We've got to move this thing forward. Or your inner critic might get going like, if you don't, you're not successful, or whatever kind of things that your brain can conjure up. And God bless it, it's trying to protect you and work things
right,
out in your interest, but it's all not always that helpful. But your
right.
heart might say something different. I don't know if this is accurate. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard that your heart was kind of offering you some compassion
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
were. And compassion is a huge thing that we can give ourselves, especially when things get difficult, especially when we're amidst those solopreneur challenges that will inevitably come up. And compassion has been proven, oftentimes this is done through meta meditation or loving kindness meditation, where
mm,
we take a moment to offer kindness and compassion and well wishes to ourselves as
mm,
well as others in our life. And it could be, I could offer well wishes to you as a friend and, somebody I care about, and I could conjure up those good feelings and then give them back to myself. We practice it so that we can eventually offer it to that difficult client or
right,
that difficult customer or that vendor that, oh my gosh, I
right.
paid so much money for and I still didn't get what I needed. It's bringing that compassion, and it's different than empathy because you're really just kind of generating those feelings of wellness and well-wishing, um, for because we're connected. It's
Right,
inevitable. We need each other in this world, whether we like it or not. Like we do need to be connected and you don't have to go it alone. So hearing that your heart was kind of giving you that compassion back was beautiful. Um,
Mm.
and I understand the idea of, cramming it all in to move it forward, especially when it's all on your shoulders as a
Right.
solopreneur. But when we don't build in that space or that buffer for ourselves, it can easily, the junk that comes up can spill over into our personal lives, into our days, and I feel like ultimately make us less productive.
Right. Yeah, a lot of my coaching, I look at three different areas is, how we're showing up in our work, how we're showing up in relationships, and how we're showing up for ourselves.
Mm.
And I think too often that's how it showed up for me. That if any one of those areas were like out of whack, um, it was like a house of cards. It
Yeah.
really. And too often, I would act as if everything was fine, knowing that it wasn't fine.
Mm.
And sadly to say, and I think it happens, I hear it a lot in my coaching, is that the first person who suffers is ourselves.
Mm.
And when we suffer in silence, then we're really not fully in our work. We're really not fully in our relationships. And so when those go south, then it's like, what else? It's like, and it's, but we have created that. I'll speak for myself. I created that because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't being mindful of how I was feeling and how I was doing. And, a lot of my um, poor decision making or decision making that have caused me the most challenges in my life has been either I was hungry, tired, or or annoyed, right? And I made a decision anyway, right? Right? And so it is like, so as long as I'm not making decisions during those three times, I'm good, right? So it is one of those things to, like I said, to really get mindful and recognize what business we're up to, in the moment, because, as solopreneurs, there's always something, right? There's always something to do. And the first thing is to take care of yourself. So as we wrap up, because I don't want to take too much time, because, us solopreneurs, we got stuff to do, right? Is there anything that you want to leave everyone with?
Well, I think that kind of one thing that I would add on to what you were saying is, like, if you haven't eaten, if you haven't, taken care of yourself in one way, is to recognizing if we're in a stressed state and
Hmm.
understanding that we can influence it.
Hmm.
Because when we go to that fight or flight, cortisol, adrenaline kicking up, skyrocketing through the roof, our prefrontal cortex, or our thinking brain, actually goes offline. So it
Hmm.
really isn't a good time to make decisions in the moment. We
Right.
can end up kind of jumping the gun and doing something that, is kind of a knee jerk reaction, instead
Right.
of really feeling in and checking in with our different areas, our place of knowing, or um, any sort of sense of logic
Right.
before we make that decision, before we check in there. So recognizing what state you're in, going back to that awareness piece in the beginning, becoming aware of how you're feeling and understanding that you can influence it. One of my favorite things to do is just extend my exhale. When we
Hmm.
breathe in, our heart rate accelerates. When we breathe out, our heart rate decelerates. So,
Hmm.
extending your exhale. So, if you breathe in naturally for, say, a count of 4, extending your exhale to a count of 6 or 7, it can do wonders for your nervous system state. And this could be done in as little as 2 minutes.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
understanding that you can influence your nervous state, I think, is something that I want to, like, shout from the rooftops, because
Hmm.
I didn't know this for a
Hmm.
long time. And when I started diving into the science and research on it, I am just floored at how much I've been able to shift my own self, my own state, and make better decisions and make better progress. And it starts with that mindful awareness of where you are in the beginning. bringing yourself compassion, bringing others compassion is huge. Offering even gratitude for the things
Right.
that went well that day, or gratitude for the challenges you're experiencing if you really want to play.
Right.
Um, but really understanding we've got a lot of ability to influence ourselves. And I
Right.
would love to invite everyone to join my 30-day meditation challenge. It can be found on my website homepage, nurturedhealing.com. If you want to explore more with some different meditative and breathing techniques, that's a great way to do it. And just to see, maybe something rises to the top for you that can become a daily practice or habit that'll really work for you in your business.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, my friend. This
Thank
is
you.
always a pleasure. We'll say our goodbyes in the green room if you can. But this has been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, boy. Minding your business, being mindful. Yeah, I think the couple of things that I got really from this is the compassion piece. Within the methodology of my coaching, I have a TLC methodology to look at when we're solving a challenge or a problem or looking for an opportunity. I invite my clients to look at the tools that are available to you and just kind of listing them and just seeing what you have available to you. L, look at your language, how you're speaking about it. And so most of the times, if we're speaking poorly about something, it's very hard to find the benefit out of it. And C is the commitments. Really look at our commitments, what we're committed to. And so when you put that all together, TLC, you take care of yourself. Really have compassion for yourself and recognize that you're going to miss a tool or you're going to misuse a tool. You're going to say some things that you don't want to say, your language, and you're going to see that your commitments are not what you say they are. But the more that you have compassion for yourself, the more that you can mine your business. Extend that exhale there, right? And just sit with that. This is another opportunity to have a solopreneur conversation, and I'll see you next week. Have a great rest of the day and go at it.